Hi everybody, it's Des from Civilian Education. Welcome to the second installment of Go Viral, a series on fundamental haircutting. So today we're going to be doing what I call my elemental haircutting class. So it's a technical class, just really understanding haircutting theory. Hi. Gonna wave while some people join. And so our first video was last week on Friday where we talked about setting up your learning space. So hopefully right now, if you're joining us for the first time, just to review, to try and get a space that's where it's just you. So my kids right now are busy outside and just doing their own things. And I'm also in a space where I have a couple of windows, so I have nice light for you to be able to see and be able to watch your work. I am not going to be using a notebook, but I have a dry erase board that is Beatrice's, but I think will come in really handy for this. But for you, it's really important that you have a journal or some kind of notebook or a place to take some notes. And then the other thing is I do want to try and keep these videos as short as possible. So I'm going to try and keep them under 5 minutes so I can or 15 minutes so I can post them directly to my feed, and that way they'll be a little bit easier for you to access. So otherwise, if it does go long or either way, I'm also posting them on YouTube. So Civilian Education has now a YouTube channel, so you can go there and get every video so you can review it a second time. Or if you didn't get a chance to catch it now, you can see them there. So the link for that is up in my bio, so you can connect with that anytime. Also, I just want to say I hope everyone is doing well, taking care of themselves during this quarantine, spending some time doing some nurturing activities to help yourself stay strong in your mind, clear in your path, and happy in your heart. So I know we have been getting outside and doing some meditation and some breathing. And also a lot, I keep talking about this, but a lot of facials and oiling because we're showering a lot and it feels awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so let's talk about elemental haircutting. So what are the elements of haircutting? The basic, kind of the fundamental truth of haircutting. So the way that I have always understood and believed haircutting functioned is that there's really only one way. So there are two basic elements to building a haircut, and there's three basic elements to any haircutting experience. So we're going to talk about all of those things today. So first and foremost, if we are sitting down with a guest in our chair, so this is not, this is really for a salon experience, is going to be the perspective that we're going to take for this video today. So if we're sitting down with a guest in our chair, we need three things to do a haircut, okay? And those three things are, first and foremost, we need a design objective. We need a goal. We need a destination. We need to understand where we are going, okay? So one, design objective. So I'm gonna write this on my dry erase board. So the three things, you guys can watch. I'm all by myself today, so thanks to Crayola for the great dry erase board. Three things for a successful service. And the first is design objective. And that is the outcome for that day's service, okay? Can you tell me, can you see this, or is it in reverse on the video? I'm gonna keep going, and Eric, you can let me know if this is reversed on the video. Okay, so the second thing that we need is a technical strategy. So once you know where you're going, you need a roadmap to get there, okay? It is inverted. All right, well, I practiced this beforehand and I thought that I had it figured out, but apparently I didn't. So we're gonna ditch the whiteboard right now and I will make a handout and I will post that later. Okay, so 3 things. The first thing that you need is a destination, which is your design objective, and that is your objective for that service. The second thing that you need is a technical strategy. Once you understand where it is you want to go, you need a roadmap to get there. And that is in our technical strategy. The third thing that you need in order to make a service successful is buy-in from your guest, right? Many of us have said, I know you've probably experienced before, I know I've experienced before, where something went wrong in a haircut and it wasn't in the technical strategy. We really thought they understood what they wanted, but maybe it was in that consultation or really the guest's commitment or understanding to what the outcome was going to be. How many times have you said, I did exactly what they wanted me to do, and they didn't like it, okay? So we wanna approach this from that perspective. We need 3 things. We need design objective, technical strategy, and buy-in. All right, so today we're going to focus mostly on just how the technical strategy works, and I will bring back my flip chart for that, or not my flip chart, but my dry erase board. And we're gonna do some other videos to talk about design objective and buy-in, because those are huge pieces, right? Just because we do a haircut perfectly or beautifully doesn't mean that our guest is going to like it. But to simply review those so that we understand, design objective is the expectation of the service for that day. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be about a haircut, right? Sometimes a guest just wants to have their shoulders rub or have a great shampoo. We've all had that experience before. The quote unquote haircut, right? So the design objective is the feeling, it's the mood. If you imagine creating a mood board around a look or a haircut, this would be that. It's the style, it's the psychology of the haircut and how it relates to the guest on that day. Because we know our mood, our style, all of that can change week to week, day to day, month to month. Hi. All right. The second thing that we need is technical strategy. We're going to get to that in just a minute. And the third thing that we need is buy-in. So we need that guest commitment. We need to organize a design objective and a technical strategy in a way that the guest is going to be really excited about it. So what I want you to understand today, if we have the mood or the emotional content of the haircut and we have an approach, but the guest doesn't feel comfortable with it, then we need to be respectful and mindful of that and offer them a different option of either the objective or a different approach to that objective that's going to make them feel more comfortable. Hopefully this is all making sense to you. And as I said before, we will be reviewing those 2 things in detail. So today we're going to be talking about technical strategy, which is actually my favorite thing to talk about all the time. And I'm going to draw the elevation chart for you, which is something the first time that I saw this just kind of really blew my mind many years ago. And I feel like we don't always talk about this enough in haircutting. We talk about approaches to haircutting. We talk about haircutting templates or haircuts. We talk a lot about sectioning or things like that. We practice haircuts, but sometimes we don't spend enough time really breaking down or understanding the basic rules of how haircutting works. Haircutting is geometry with hair that is organic, that moves, and that continues to grow, okay? So that makes that geometry all the more interesting, right? So I'm gonna draw my beautiful fancy head that I always draw, which just consists of this half round shape right here. Can you see? All right, and then he's smiling or she's smiling, right? Okay, so this is the front of the head. And when we break down our technical strategy, we have two really important elements of technical strategy, and really actually three. So the big approach to haircutting is what we call the weight distribution, right? We talk a lot of times about removing weight. We talk about building weight. We talk about too much weight in my hair. If you could just take out some of the weight, all right? So many of you know and have heard before that we can't really remove weight from a haircut. The weight that is there, or the amount of hair that exists in that hair or on that head, is something that can't really be changed. Certainly we could shave it off, but it would grow back within a few days, okay? That weight, that amount of hair on the head, is going to be influenced by texture, by wave pattern, by density of hair. It is going to be affected by how they style it, the styling products that they use, if they're adding texture to it. And last but not least, it's going to be influenced by how they like to see their hair. Do they want to see it really big and full, or really small and narrow and slender, okay? So the way that we move the weight around the head is really the essence of hair cutting. And we have two ways of doing that, all right? We have elevation and we have over direction. So elevation is, the focal point is on our hands. It is how high or low we are holding the hair in comparison to the head and where it grows out of the head. Okay, so if we look at one point of origin for one strand of hair, we have three basic elevations that we teach that we can hold this hair at. So the first elevation is going to be 0 degrees of elevation, or natural fall, or falling into gravity, or it's going to be down and very, very low, all right? When we hold hair down very, very low, it's going to behave in a certain way. It is going to be shiny, it is going to be heavy, it is going to have a weight point that is at the very bottom of where the hair is cut. As long as we continue to hold many hairs down at 0 degrees of elevation, that weight point will continue to walk away from the head and build further and further out and away. It's going to be our heaviest elevation. It's going to be our most solid shape. It is going to have the strongest form in the end, because we know that hair works strength in numbers. So more hair that we have falling to the same point, the stronger that shape is going to be. Okay. The second elevation that we, or in the order that I teach them, is our highest elevation. And this is 90 degrees. This is what we call a layer, oftentimes. Okay, or uniform, some people call it. This is where the hair is being pulled directly out of the point at which it grows. And that really drastically changes how the hair behaves compared to the lowest elevation. The hair will start to reveal its natural texture. You're not going to have any hair all falling to the one same point and walking away from the head and getting wider and stronger. In fact, you're going to have hair that falls to all different points and appears to get shorter as it goes around the head. That allows the natural texture to sort of expand, to be as curly as it can be, or to be as straight and limp as it likes to be. The natural texture is going to be revealed. So if you don't have a lot of curl, you're not going to see a lot of curl. If you have a lot of curl, you're going to see more curl exacerbated, okay? So when I talk about elevation, I like to talk about our 0 degrees of elevation as our really strong, stern, structured, kind of bossy teacher, right? The person that's going to have lots of order, lots of rules. Everyone is going to fall into place and sit exactly where they need to sit. When we move to 90 degrees, this is our more relaxed teacher. This is the teacher that's going to let everyone kind of go where they want to go. It's going to be really hard to control. The hair is just going to be moving in every direction that it wants to go. And it might be just a little bit harder to manage from day to day, okay? Well, those are not our only two choices, right? When we talked about elevation, we said we had 3 major forms of elevation. And the third elevation is graduation, right? Oh, I forgot. This is inverted. That's okay. We'll let it go. So graduation is not going to be just 1 degree of elevation, like one length and like a layer. It's going to be many degrees of elevation, okay? It's going to be all in here. So it's going to be 1 to 89 degrees. So we have all of these different forms and angles of graduation that we can work the hair to. What I want everyone to understand, what's most important to me to understand about elevation is that graduation is sort of the chameleon. It's sort of that teacher that goes back and forth from being really structured to being loosey-goosey. It's the one that builds the right kind of structure to help compensate for head shape, for bone structure, to help put the weight exactly where we want to put it. So when we talk about redistributing that weight, the layer is going to give us no weight and no control. And the one length is going to give us so much weight and so much control that it might be too much. Graduation is going to work both of those concepts. So sometimes it's going to say, oh, I'm going to let things kind of go and be free form and let this texture and movement or this flatness kind of come out into the head. Or sometimes it's going to say, nope, I want to build some structure. I want some shine. I want some strength. I really want to organize this hair. And the levels or the elevation at which we pull that graduation is what influences that. So 45 degrees is kind of the halfway point, and that's where we say anything below 45 degrees is going to be that stronger, more stern, more organized graduation. And as we move higher in above 45 degrees, we're going to get more of that layered, loose, high texture, disorganized effect. Okay, so when we talk about organized versus disorganized, we're only talking about the way that the hair moves or behaves, the characteristics of the hair. Is it going to be heavy and flat, or is it going to be light and kind of in motion, right? Okay, so this is elevation. This is simply the idea that when we're working with our hands and holding hair in our hands, the lower we hold it, the more weight is going to be at the bottom of that hair. And the higher we bring it up, we're going to remove weight and soften the weight distribution more and more and more until we get all the way up to that layered effect where we're going to have almost no weight in the haircut. And this is the most simple, fundamental theory around hair cutting. All right. Okay. So that is our elevation. And last but not least is our over direction or our shape. So when we're talking about the elevation of a haircut, that is when I am looking at you and I can see the hair as it's falling down into its natural state. Shape is something that's only visible when we hold the hair up and we look down on it. So that's going to be in our cross check, or sometimes what we refer to as our bird's eye view. So if I draw my head form again, I'm not going to draw my smiley face. I'm going to draw it from above, like I'm looking from the sky. Here's the head and there's the nose. And this over direction is going to have everything to do with where we stand in a haircut, okay? So when we talk about over direction, we talk about 3 really simple shapes, right? We talk about our triangular shape. And the simple concept of a triangular shape is that you're standing in the back of the haircut. And because you're standing in the back of the haircut, you're going to have a tendency to pull the hair towards you. And when you're standing at the back and pulling the hair towards you, that means that it is naturally going to get longer as it works towards the face, okay? So a triangular shape is going to be shorter in the back and longer to the front. And it'll have that diagonal line working toward the face, longer toward the face, okay? And you can kind of see the shape that's organized when we stand in the back and the nose is here, and it makes a triangle. The second shape that's just the opposite of this triangular shape is what we would refer to as a round shape. And a round shape is really just the opposite of a triangle. It is where we stand in the front of the haircut. I'm gonna move this last one down. We stand in the front of the haircut, and again, we're naturally gonna pull things towards us. So things are gonna be shorter in the front and get longer towards the back. So you're gonna have that diagonal perimeter line that's gonna work away from the face. Again, shorter in the front, longer in the back. We see this a lot in our long layered haircuts right now, where they have a lot of layer and movement around the face and they get much, much longer and heavier through the back, okay? So in a round shape, you're standing in the front, and you can see how this works into something that feels a little bit round. All right, so our last shape when we talk about over direction is going to be the square shape. Sometimes this can be the hardest to understand, but what a square shape does is allows us to stand on the flat parts of the head. And really, no part of a head is flat. I understand that. But there's sort of these wider bones that exist right here through the back center and right here somewhere around the ears. And when we stand at these places and we over direct, because we have a tendency to pull the hair towards us, the hair will actually get longer right where the head rounds away from us. And because it's getting longer where the head rounds away from us, that will make the shape appear even from front to back when it's dropped. So we're compensating for that hairline, we're compensating for the roundness of the head. And that's what we refer to as a square shape. Again, shape is something that you can only see when you cross-check and you hold the hair up and look down on it. It's not the form of the haircut. It's not when we see a haircut styled and it looks kind of pointy on top and we call that a triangular shape, or when we style out an afro. Even though that may be a round shape, just because it looks sort of radial in its appearance, that's really just the form, which has more to do with these two concepts in combination. This, again, when we talk about shape as we're approaching our technical strategy for a haircut, this is only something you can see from the horizontal perspective, which is looking down above, okay? So this is our over direction. So just to review, the elements of hair cutting, the basic elements of hair cutting. When we sit down with a guest, we need three things. We need a strong design objective. We need a good technical strategy to achieve that design objective. And we need the guest to buy in to both of those things, okay, on a simple level. The technical strategy is really about how we're distributing the weight in a haircut. And the way that we distribute weight is by two fundamental principles. And those fundamental principles are how high or low we're holding the hair, or our elevation, and where we're standing when we're cutting the hair at that elevation. Are we behind the guest? Are we in front of the guest? Or are we behind and to the side of the guest? And that is really hair cutting in a nutshell. So message me if you have any questions. Let me know if there's anything more that you would like to do. Tomorrow we're going to start with sectioning, so we'll break this down just a little bit more, and we will actually do a haircut. We're just going to do a one length tomorrow. If you don't have a mannequin head yet, that's okay. You can get one whenever, or you can just follow along with the movements, because there's a lot that can be learned in just how you're holding your comb and your shears. And that's mainly what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. I will be here again tomorrow at 10:30. So I look forward to seeing you. And again, if you go into my bio, there is a link. You can view all of these videos on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I hope that you are healthy and safe, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Thanks. Bye.